and we will be starting with a roll call.
Roll call of the City Council meeting of Wednesday, July 17th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. Council members Flores, Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Truth, and Witherspoon.
Oh, yeah.
Alrighty, we are going to please stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance with the flag to the left of you and the right of council. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Approval of the minutes from the July 3rd, 2024 City Council meeting and bills for payment on July 19th, 26th, and August 2nd. Council members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores.
Alrighty, everyone. Today we are going to be having a presentation by Aaron Snipper from the Redevelopment Authority to speak to us about a grant from the Department of Energy. Aaron, you may go ahead when you're ready.
All right. Thank you for having me this evening. And really, I'm pleased to be here and share this funding opportunity that we have regarding our recent application to the Department of Energy, Office of State and Community Energy Programs. On March 29th, the City of Erie and the Redevelopment Authority were notified that our grant application was recommended to move forward to the negotiation phase. Since that time, staff from the City of Erie and the Redevelopment Authority have diligently working with the DOE representatives to go through that negotiation process. Our grant application entitled Empowering Disadvantaged Communities Through Clean Energy Choices. This initiative supports President Biden's Investing in America agenda and the Justice 40 initiative, aiming to empower disadvantaged communities through innovative clean energy solutions. Some key highlights of the Energy Futures grant. They awarded $27 million across the United States to 40 partners comprised of states, local governments, tribes, and other such entities as related to those. The program goals are to facilitate multi-jurisdiction partnerships to advance clean energy programs, enhance energy affordability, access, and opportunities to communities, and foster collaboration to develop solutions to benefit disadvantaged communities. So to highlight our Erie proposal and what we are working toward. Our aim, and to go back to the recommendation, this is, and we are the initial cohort of this energy program and this grant award. So the 40, us and the 39 other partners are really kind of crafting this future of this program. So in Erie, our model will hope to be developed so that it can be scalable and something that we can grow. It really engages two things: outreach and education through community engagement, through neighborhood organizations, neighborhood watches, and other such agencies to help get the word out about energy options in the community. The other main key part of it will be 350 energy audits of homes within disadvantaged communities in the city of Erie. So we will go into homes, we will evaluate their energy efficiency of all their mechanical systems and determine what they could do to better make their home more energy efficient and lower their cost to them. Of course, certainly this, like I said, is a planning grant. That this is not funding for implementation. This is simply to collect data and prepare for the second phase of this program, which is applying $4 million of implementation funding. So our initial award is $500,000 to gather that data and perform the energy audits. And then at the completion of that, we will compile that data and apply to the Department of Energy for that implementation funding. So, it's baby steps, but we're going to work toward it. And it's certainly a program that we're hoping to make scalable, that we can do over and over and as these funding streams come available for that. like I said, the project focus and really across the Department of Energy is job creation, workforce training, energy savings for households is the big one. Lower the burden on the low to moderate income households to make their homes more affordable and the ability for them to stay in it. Like I said, just this notification represents a significant step forward. We're still in the negotiation phase. It will be a 12-month implementation or a 12-month program once we get to the point where we sign a contract with the Department of Energy. So we're preparing, we're getting ready, and once we get that final grant award, once they have the documentation and everything's approved, then we will roll out and implement this program across, like I said, those disadvantaged areas of the city of Erie. So, thank you.
I appreciate you coming and updating us about this grant that we are in the process of attaining to be able to gather that information. I know a lot of houses in our community are aged and unweatherized, and there's a lot of energy that gets wasted in the winter months. So I look forward to knowing the information that we gather in the communities that we're going to impact right now. So thank you for coming and presenting your findings with us, Aaron. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Alrighty, so next on our agenda is, are there any repository sales here?
You have Jake Rao and Curtis Jones.
Okay, for the chambers?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do the chambers presentation.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. On the agenda, there is a request for payment for an invoice that we sent to the city of Erie for completion of the Erie Forward pledge that the city made in 2019-2020. We've received 3 installments of $50,000. The last installment would be this year for $50,000. In the course of us doing our background and looking back, we did not invoice you in 2022. So we are here requesting payment for the full amount. So the 2022-2025 support for Erie Forward. The document in front of you has in it detailed progress through 2023 on that 5-year campaign of where we are relative to the goals set forth in Erie Forward. The support you provide to us helps us execute not only on towards those goals, but basically our day in and day out activities in working with businesses to get them connected to all the resources that they need, but also playing a role in other longer term strategic initiatives throughout the community. I'd be happy to I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of the 5 goals. I keep using that term, forgetting that I don't know if Reader's Digest still exists. There was great progress made on the capital investment throughout the community, of which we will not take credit for all of it. However, we've calculated in our office that there's been over $1 billion worth of investment throughout Erie County. And that's on a conservative level. We know that there's $500 to $700 million more dollars of investment happening in the community. We have clearly not touched all of those projects, but a great example is that David Mitchell's investment at the Avalon Hotel, the very first meeting he had in the community, was at the chamber where he asked to get connected to other key partners in the community, and it began a process of both supporting him, guiding him, and assisting him in any way he could, and connecting him to other partners who've helped really make that happen. So the capital investment's been fantastic, which has led to, based on our analysis, an overall increase in the total taxable property in the community. The area and there has been hit the goal relative to opportunity zone investments in the region. The area that has clearly been the biggest challenge, and mind you, when Erie Forward was launched, it was 2019 and we were in a different world. And then a few months into 2020, the pandemic hit. The numbers that you see for employment were taken as of 2019. So we didn't reset the clock and say, hey, let's look at employment numbers in 2020. Had we done that, we'd show market gains. What we did is at the end of 2019, where were we, and where were we at the end of 2023? And there are 6 targeted sectors for job growth. 4 of the 6 saw job growth and moving towards hitting their target. The 2 that did not were healthcare, life sciences, and manufacturing. Both of them saw sizable decreases in employment. brought on for a variety of factors, which I can just detail for you. Number one is that there was a number of folks that left the workforce because of health concerns. They left the workforce also in those two particular arenas, in the healthcare arena for those reasons. In the manufacturing sector, there was a slowdown and in some cases shutdown of businesses that led people to reevaluate whether they wanted to stay in that. What we've seen though since then is that there's significant and heavy demand throughout the manufacturing sector for positions. Many, if anything, I would say the workforce challenges that they face are holding back their growth rather significantly. A number of businesses would like to add another shift, but they can't add that shift unless they know they have a reliable workforce to come in every day. And the second is that their workforce presently is maxed, so even if they weren't adding another shift, they can't even bid on some of the projects that are coming to them. So in essence, it's like I have so many projects, which one should I actually submit a bid for because I want to do business with that company? But it's a daily process. And then the work we also do is we'll do an outreach visit with all the folks that go through Thrive and through Kiva, small businesses that are looking to start and get up and operational. So that's just a quick summary. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
I have a question.
Sure.
How come it took you 2 years to find out that you were owed $50,000 from us?
Well, you're asking the person that wasn't managing the books at the time.
But tell them to make it up.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I would make the argument is that
Not being facetious.
No, I totally get that. And it's a little embarrassing to have to stand here in front of you and say that. But what I will say is that we never stopped the work. We continue to do the work. And I would say that there's a few others that we missed. And an example, a colleague, governmental entity, Summit Township Industrial and Economic Development Authority, I had to have a similar conversation with them. But going forward, that's not going to happen.
I had to ask you.
All right, does anyone else on council have anything to comment before we give time to the next presentation? No? All righty, well, thank you for your time and thank you for coming and stating the case to us on what's going on and why it's on the budget for so much. We know that the chamber does great work, so we would like to continue to support that and be an ally with that mission. So hopefully other council members feel the same. And I know Kathy definitely does feel the same, so she's mentioned that to me time and time again. So thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, the next person.
Repository.
Okay, repository sales. Do we have any repository sales? Do we have any repository sales?
Are you here to speak?
Alrighty, so since no one's here for repository sales,
she's here.
for repository? Okay.
I was told by Pamela White to appear tonight. My name is Erica King. This is all new to me, so I'm not sure.
There's some questions.
Okay.
If you could answer those, then that should probably
Okay.
answer.
So the property is vacant. It does not have a structure on it. My plans for the property is to put the smallest footprint of a building on it to house unhoused veterans, homeless veterans. So if we have any veterans that are eligible for, some a certificate or something from the government to be able to put them in that so that they're not unhoused. Again, right now it is a vacant lot. I do live I'm on the east side. I don't live right next to the property. As far as providing maintenance for the property, such as mowing or anything like that, until I get the permits to build anything on the property, we will just have the grass cut as necessary because, again, there's nothing else on it. So it's just a matter of keeping the grass cut and keeping, garbage and stuff out of it. And as far as code violations or anything like that, I have 2 houses that I own, and I don't have any code violations with them.
And it's located?
It is on, I'm sorry, I have to look it up.
Pennsylvania Avenue.
Pennsylvania Avenue, right.
9th and
It really doesn't have it, it just says Pennsylvania Avenue. There was no address for it, so it's on the corner.
I just want to make sure that anything that before any building or any construction goes through, that you make sure you check in with the permit, the
absolutely,
permitting
yeah.
and the code enforcement, because we get a lot of people who have a lot of things that they want to do, and then they're told that you aren't able to do them. So I would hate for that to happen.
Well, I do know it's in a neighborhood at this current time. You know, there are houses around it. There are single family and multiple family homes around it. So like I said, I do know to check with the code enforcement, because I don't want somebody to come and tear it down.
Right.
I make sure that I get my permits and everything like that. But just to have some affordable housing for veterans, you know, in the area.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else on council have any questions to ask the repository sale? No? Okay.
Just not necessarily a question, but I'd be very curious to just learn more about your, not right at this moment because I'm putting you on the spot,
okay.
but just to stay in touch after. This
Okay.
is a much needed venture, and I wouldn't want you to go alone. So I'd be very curious just to learn how we can support in this project.
Oh,
as well.
okay.
So thank you.
Happy to hear from you and work with you on that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Erica, can I get your phone number? We normally get a copy of your
All right.
license.
Do we have any other repository sales by chance?
323-22.
Do we have any other repository sales?
I don't have.
Alrighty, I see none, so we will move on. We will be doing citizens to be heard. I would ask the media to please line up on the left side or wherever you have room. Currently, it doesn't matter. And then the citizens, you will be able to line up through the middle, I'm assuming, just because, or along the back, whatever's easiest for you. Just don't trip over the wires or anyone, please. I would like to ask the public to clearly state your name and the municipality for the record, and you will receive 5 minutes to be heard. Thank you.
My name is Robert Mickens. I'm from Erie. And what I'm here to discuss tonight is about a nuisance bar. It's called Bayfront Lounge. It's down on East 6th Street, 6th and Wayne. The actual physical address is 820 East 6th Street. This bar has had so many nights of unruly, indecent exposure, intoxication, trash. My wife and myself have personally called the police 25 times, and also several times in one night we have called them multiple times. I have talked to the Liquor Control Board. I have put an email into the mayor's office. Like I said again, this is repeatedly. Excuse me again. My wife and I have moved up here from Florida in April. My mother has owned this property for 57 years. So I have seen this bar change hands 4 times through my lifetime. And this is the worst I've ever seen it. I mean, like I said again, my mom lived there for 57 years on that street. And it is horrible. I mean, we go through from a Thursday to a Sunday night, the base of cars, the marijuana, like I said, the litter that gets shot in your stuff. When people, they'll trespass, even see the trespassing sign, and they'll still pull in your driveway. And if you ask them to move, they're telling you, don't disrespect me, but you're on my property. You ask them to turn down the bass, don't disrespect me. It's almost like you're saying, you get into physical altercations. I understand that the liquor license is up for renewal, and I have protested data against that online too. And I'm not for sure if you have any authority to help protest that, but like I said again, from a Thursday to a Sunday night, we stay up every night from at least it starts at 10 o'clock to 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the police resources, you have to imagine that. Now, if the police came down there 25 times and they have to get out their cars, they have came 6 SUVs at one time. They couldn't even come down the street. So then, they're trying to get people to disperse. So just imagine we have a problem, we have a fire or something like that. You're not gonna get no first responders down in there. You look at the safety of our home. I mean, we're sitting up there and you have to stay up all night looking and you're hearing this noise right outside your house, right on your steps, and people in your backyard. And then, like you said, what can you do about it? I mean, I am so done and so through with it. Like I said, I'm kind of sure we're going to probably sell this property in March. Like I said again, and I hate to give up this property after it's been in our family like this. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and continue fight with people weekend after weekend, stay up every night. Like I have children from 10 o'clock to like I said, to 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife goes to work at 7 o'clock every morning, and she has to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work at 7 o'clock, and she's been up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She just worked a 7-week shift straight, and 5 of those days, she's been up at 3 o'clock in the morning just due to that bar. Last night, you're sleeping. 1:30 in the morning, hear somebody come right out the bar and screaming and yelling. I live right across the street from it. So you get the base of the bar. You get the unruly people. Like I said, again, the overcrowding, the base. I mean, it's crazy. I have talked to the Frontier Lumber Company, which also have a lot right there. The owner's name is Jeff, I believe it is. Have talked to him. I asked him to see about putting barricades up or even giving people placards to put on the cars so they can be able to get the cars towed who parts of it. People are coming down there. We got a speakeasy. I mean, after hours joint is down there, because people just come down there, sit on the cars right out front, right in the street, and just sit there and watch the show. So I'm saying that's why I'm here. I went to the council meeting last night. I'm here tonight. I am done after this. Like I said again, I'm going to continue to call the police and every night, and I would like some more action to be taken. Only 2 people got arrested for disorderly conduct out of all those calls that I called personally, and there's other residents to call. And I think a lot of the other residents are scared to call because of the retribution they feel that they're going to get from the neighborhood. I don't know if you have been down there before or not, but please come visit. Come visit our neighborhood between a Thursday and a Sunday at between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and you'll see what I mean. Total chaos, total wilding out. And I leave everybody with the same question that the people I ask to get off my property. I ask them this: where do you live? Where do you live so I can go to your house and act the same way you acted in front of my house? And I haven't got an answer yet. So I'm gonna leave it with that. But I hope and pray that you have something you can do with this transfer of this liquor license, because this gentleman, he does not deserve to have a liquor license if he cannot conduct his patrons in a proper manner. And I spoke to them, so let me put that out there real quick too. And this answer to me was, when people leave my establishment, it's no longer my concern. It is your concern. If they have been over excessive drinking in your establishment, they're standing outside your establishment high and everything else. It is your concern because it's a public nuisance. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for coming and speaking. I'm going to call up Roger Richards and Phil English, or Roger Richards and then Phil English, however you gentlemen would like to go. And then we'll get back to the public comment. I'm sorry.
Hello, Madam President and fellow council members. My name's Roger Richards. I reside at 1928 South Shore Drive, and you may recall a few weeks ago I appeared before you on the Ravine Bridge or Cockrell Bridge funding shortfall. And I'm here to not complain. I'm actually here not to demand. I'm here tonight to thank you. Because with your cooperation of not rejecting those contracts out of hand, and also the cooperation of the mayor's office in extending the contracts, and not that I had anything to do with it, my appearance before the MPO, we were able to convince them to cover the shortfall so that at the end of the day, I think everyone looks good in this process. I was able to bring $300,000 of private funds to the project, which means that you saved the taxpayers $300,000 in my opinion. By taking action tonight, which I anticipate will be favorable, that this project will go under the original contract bid and avoid what would be obviously escalating costs if the construction contract took place next year. And so in conclusion, I think that I have to tell you, I've worked in government for 50 years, and I have a great deal of respect for people that run for office, take the abuse of being public officials, making tough decisions. And this is an example sometimes of how if we all work together, good things happen for our fellow constituents. I also want to thank you on behalf of the 200 residents that use this bridge for many years that now will have a solution to the problem, and also to the 200 residents of St. Joseph Senior Citizen Center that had to put up with the very dangerous temporary road on Maryland Avenue, which is almost sad to see every day when people with their walkers are in the middle of the street that has one-lane traffic. So thank you very much, and I appreciate all of your support on behalf of the people that I represent. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Roger Richards. And next up will be Phil English for public comment before we get back to the citizens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm really here simply to thank Erie City Council for being here. Phil English, 1050 Lookout Drive, which in my salad days we called West 3rd Street. It's an honor to have you here at West 3rd Street tonight in a neighborhood that is very, very important and very much needs your attention. Can I tell you, this neighborhood has had resilience because of this center, the Martin Luther King Center, for years. It has done well, as some of you know from direct involvement, because of the involvement of the Erie's West Bayfront organization, which has done an extraordinary job, and I know a couple of you have had direct connection with them. It has done well because of the increasing investment by Gannon University in the area. And that has helped and lifted up everyone. It's been exciting to watch how Gannon has been part of a synergy for which they haven't always gotten a lot of credit to really strengthen these neighborhoods to the benefit of all of the citizens. This is a neighborhood which is very important because we see firsthand the need for affordable housing. And I know that is close to the heart for many of you. This is a place where we see improved public transit, and we know you've had a role in that, and more needs to be done in that space. This is an important neighborhood because it abuts a bayfront that has been central to the revival of the West Side. And it's really the point I would most like to leave you with is it is very important that you engage with other partners to improve access for this neighborhood for the Bayfront. Give them better access over the highway, create opportunities, and I know those of you who engage on the east side know there's a terrible need there as well. They're not mutually exclusive. We can lift up the Bayfront areas of Erie by improving access, making infrastructure investments for which the state and the federal government has programs that we can tap into. I think it's very important to recognize that this council has done a number of important things, and I want to congratulate you on them. I know you have worked through the LRTA issue, which I think LRTA has been very important to the revival of neighborhoods across the city, and it's just getting started. So I'm grateful to those of you who agree with me that this program ought to be continued. I think that your work coming to a consensus on the CRIZ has been very, very important. And I know all of you in different ways worked on that and made it possible. And I know that this council has done a good job of committing to support the efforts to get better airline service into Erie's airport. And that's important because that strengthens the hand of the chamber and other players in attracting new investment into this community and retaining important organizations and companies, particularly organizations like LECOM as a very good example. I think that what you are doing is enormously important, and I can speak as a chamber member to thank you for considering funding for Erie Forward, which is an investment directly into the community. I know all of you are very well connected into the community, and I would make the case to you that we need to have a growing economy here and expanding opportunities if we're going to meet our benchmarks on social justice. I look forward to working with you in my capacity as a private citizen, but I want you to know I think a lot of us in this neighborhood will support your efforts going forward. That's all I really wanted to say. I really appreciate the chance to see you here in our neighborhood listening. I salute you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Well, we appreciate all the feedback we're getting on our summer tour. So the next citizen who would like to come up to the podium to speak, please do so.
Hello, my name is Bob Strasser. 956 East Fifth Street, lifelong Erie resident, and last 30-some years on the Lower East Side there. I first want to verify and show my support to the first citizen that talked about the bar establishment there, because that's not that far from where I live. It's a street down and a few streets over. So when I'm driving at night times and stuff, I really worry about being shot at and stuff in that area, just because of all that I see that goes on there. But anyhow, for my notes tonight, I want to do a change tonight. Instead of dealing with being a negative and devil's advocate type thing, I want to switch to being positive and talk about some positive events that have happened down around in my neighborhood recently. So this past Saturday, the 13th, I participated in the Love Your Block program, which went on from 9 a.m. till noon. I want to thank Gretchen and the few staff people she had there and the other volunteers. There was probably like 10 to 12 of us. I want to give acknowledgement to the gentleman. I just remember his first name being Joel. He's an independent contractor, provided his pickup truck and trailer, which came in very, very handy. So we basically picked up a lot of large items and debris. In the area, it included from 5th Street down to 3rd, because everything below that's Barber Center. The north-south streets involved were Ross, Wilson, and Newman. So just in that area there, the estimates of what we collected in the 2 giant dumpsters that were brought down was between 2.5 and 3 tons worth of debris. So while participating in that, a lot of the residents, especially the senior elderly residents, were extremely grateful and thankful, and indicated that they would not have been able to get rid of these items and debris if it wasn't for this event. And I know there's some more of those events in other parts of the city scheduled. So I'm very grateful and was happy to participate in that. Then on Sunday, the 14th, on East Avenue at the ECAC, former Wayne School Building, there was a health fair that went on. And that was very well attended. There were a number of tents and tables that provided a lot of healthcare and other services information, which I know a lot of the residents in that area were very grateful for. A little after that, on the other side of East Avenue, part of the 814 concert series, there was a music concert that was held there. That was well attended. I saw a few people from the city that were there, so hopefully everyone had a good time. An upcoming event, which I think is going to be very, very helpful to that area, is it's September 7th and 8th, Saturday and Sunday. There will be a medical clinic held at the ECAC Wayne Building at 630 East Avenue. So it's going to provide a lot of free services that will deal with dental, vision, and medical concerns. So I'm really hoping that the turnout for that will be very successful. So also for me tomorrow, I'm planning on attending over at East Middle School, the Erie Coke Plant meeting that's going to deal with East Avenue Study Area Site investigation. So I'm looking forward to mainly seeing what the EPA has completed so far as statistics and other information, because I live in that area, so I'm very concerned about what all was involved in the Erie Coke Plant.
What time is that?
I believe that it's 6 p.m.
Thank you.
Yep. And I'm also going to be participating with the EPA and that study of allowing soil samples from my property for them to conduct their studies. And lastly, I want to give Erie a big shout out for in part of my research on trying to revive cities, mid-sized and small cities. One of the steps is to reuse buildings that you currently have. So hearing what's going on with the former Avalon Hotel is certainly a step in that right direction. So I'll have future things at future meetings. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing. It's always good to hear the positive that the community recognizes. Whoever's next.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann Sullivan. I live on the 700 block of East 5th Street. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I've been living and working here in Erie for about 4 years. And in Philadelphia, I mean, I've seen the worst. I've had personal vision of Kensington, which is one of the worst places in Philadelphia. And I'm here regarding the bar, this new bar. Also here mostly to represent the children. Frontier Lumber, Jeff Williams is the person. He built a little playground right in back of the bar. He built it, and he purchased that whole property. There's a little playground, there's a pavilion, there's about 4 or 5 picnic benches. Really nice place for the kids, the neighborhood kids to play. He even hired a little boy to clean up, and he has 2 trash receptacles. And the little boy cleans up and gets like $10 a week. He was really proud of himself that he could actually make some money and do something for the community. It just really was a proud thing. He just loved to do it. He's afraid to go there anymore. He's afraid to do this anymore. The bar serves drinks, and they come out to the pavilion and they drink on the picnic benches. They use it almost like an outside drinking facility. They have nothing to do with that. And the children are not playing there. And so that's really my concern is their playground's being taken away, and they've only had it in a short period of time. They're having sex on the benches, twerking, dancing up on top of it. It's just horrible, and it's just disrespectful. The neighbors try to say something, and they're cursed out by them. And it's just hard. It's hard to live there, and the noise is incredible on the weekends. And so I just want to speak for the children and give them the playground back.
Thank you for coming and speaking today. The next person may come up.
Hello, I'm Tina Young. I live in the 700 block of East 5th Street. Also, I'm here about the bar. I have 5 properties. I've lived there 21 years. I have 5 properties within a 500 yard radius of that bar. And 3 were vacant when I bought them, and I've been working really hard to fix up the neighborhood. And it was a very, very nice neighborhood for many years. But these last 2 months, it's torn apart. We can't walk around the block anymore. I have picked up syringes and condoms from the park. I go early in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and clean up before that little boy would come, because I didn't want him to come across it. Broken glass everywhere. Now, I live around the corner, and I called the police. I mean, it keeps me up. It echoes through the yards. 2 of my properties, my father lives upstairs in one. He's 84, he's a shut-in. We have to close his windows, and he's scared. He's really scared. The marijuana comes up in there. We did, reach to the Liquor Control Board. We haven't heard anything about that. I mean, the whole neighborhood, it's just a few of us shown up here. A lot of people are scared because of this. I mean, it's ridiculous. I was at one of my rental properties. Like I said, my father lives there, and this woman come out the bar, and she walked across the parking lot. The kids were playing basketball. My son lives in one of my properties. There's a hoop out there. So all the kids come there and play. It's better than them, being out on the street. This lady comes from the bar and just started stripping her clothes off as she walked past all the way down the street and took more and more off and started yelling at the kids. So, I could go on and on, but we're here to be heard, and we need your help. We want our neighborhood back. We live in fear. Like he said, you have to stay up and protect your property. Every weekend, you're up all the time. I caught 2 women going beside my house. They said, we're not going to steal. We just have to take a piss. So I had put extra security lights up. There's cameras up. But now I'm going to lose my tenants. They can't live like that. One's a nurse. She's losing sleep. Like I said, my dad, what's my property value going to be? It's taking my property value, all my houses. I have 2 on Wayne, 2 on East 7th Street, the 700 block, and I just bought one on Reed Street, on the 600 block of East, on Reed Street. So, it's affecting all around there. In the middle of this street, I have a son that's ill, so I have an alarm on my phone. If I have to leave at 2 o'clock in the morning to go see him, I cannot go that way. You go around, you can't even get, they go out into the bayfront. They're stopping traffic. It's ridiculous. And it goes all the way up the street. And he said it's till 3 o'clock in the morning. It goes on beyond that. 4 o'clock in the morning. A lot of our property has been damaged. The neighbors' cars have been hit. There's hit and runs, DUIs. I mean, they stopped last weekend or the weekend before. A DUI, they left the bar at 4 o'clock in the morning. Left the bar and hit the neighbor's car. So, I mean, we really need your help.
May I interject? So we're talking about two different bars.
No, it's the same bar.
It's the same bar?
It's the same tavern.
Okay. So this is not the bar by the Bayfront?
Yeah, it's a Bayfront
Okay.
Lounge. Yeah, it's
Okay.
exactly the same one.
It's the
I live
one right
around the
before you
corner.
cross.
I'm just saying that it comes all the way around the corner. And not just my corner, it goes all the way up 6th Street and all the way up Wayne Street also.
Okay.
It's affecting a lot of us, not just in that little tiny area.
Okay, I was thinking
Yeah,
of a different one on East Lake
Oh,
Road.
no, it's that one. It's that one. And it was quiet for many, many years. Like, I've lived there 21 years. It was quiet. When Lawrence owned it, I mean, he kept it under control. You know, it was a nice little tavern. You know, the people watch football, whatever. This is crazy, out of control. Like, they don't even care. I mean, they're having sex on the picnic table, on the cars out there, when people are out there. My granddaughter is 12 years old and lives downstairs. The children can't play in the street anymore. They can't do it. We're trapped in our houses. We're trapped, you know, we live in fear and we're trapped like prisoners in our houses. And we are reaching out. It's not like we're not trying. We're reaching out to the Liquor Control Board. We call the police all the time. And like he said, several times a night. I'm sure the police have other things they want to do than come try to chase these people away. We're taking a lot of police off the streets, you know, to come here to close down this bar. So I guess that's it.
Well, we will definitely look into this, especially if there's a liquor license that's going to be in the process of being sold or transferred.
Yes. Yeah,
And
we're trying to
I'm
fight that.
concerned with the children not being able to play on a park that was donated to them.
Right, I want to say something else too. Okay, it is in the daytime. It's worse in the night, but it's in the daytime too. They're out there doing their drugs or whatever. Now, I take my granddaughter to school, and you can't get through there. And they park on the sidewalk, so these kids have to walk around. And then there's even odd parking. That's not happening either. So it's happening in the daytime too. It's just like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes even Monday. Sometimes it's all week. If there's holidays or whatever, it runs for 3 or 4 days. They party that holiday out. And you're like, they do. They got DJs in there. It's crazy. It's crazy, ridiculous. And the trash I pick up, like I said, I go there every day and I pick up and I get at least a country fair bag full of trash. I mean, nasty stuff too. You don't want to hear all that, but yeah, like I said, you know, in the park.
Yeah. Thank you for coming and letting us know. We will definitely be looking into this. The next person who would like to be heard may come forward.
Hello, my name is Paige Scheffner. Growing up, I was one of the first tenants for Mr. Crenshaw at Parade Street Commons, 356. And I can honestly say it was a beautiful place to live at. I had a place to go hoop at down the street, hoop, spoons. And since then, it gave me the luxury to attend Robert Morris University. And as I come back for the summer, I get to intern for Mr. Crenshaw and work for him Monday through Friday, sometimes even Saturday. But honestly, I couldn't call it work because every day he's teaching me something new, whether it's construction, real estate, or both. And he's doing that and helping these young ones so he can do the same thing with them. And I just hope you guys can all still support Mr. Crenshaw and Blue Rock as he continues to do his thing, teaching the young ones and keep them on the right path. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll get up, say the same thing I said last week. My name is Deontay Cooley. I live at 1158 East 29th Street. But again, I appreciate the effort and initiative to have the city council meetings out in the community. As you can see, there are more people here than there typically would be when they are in the courthouse. I love to see the diversity. I love to see the diversity amongst the council, amongst the board. So hopefully, again, I know this is a summer series thing, but hopefully it can continue to go on. And hopefully when you get to the JFK Center, we can continue to have more people encourage them to come in here to speak their concerns, and as well as, you know, have a lot of positive things to say to you all on some of the things that you have been doing. over your tenure or your positions in the seats, because again, it is good to see. I mean, it's good to see young people come up here and speak. It's good to see men bring young people in the room to kind of get the experience. It's good to hear from some of the older people who have played a part in the government in Erie for the state of Pennsylvania just come here and to speak. So I would encourage this initiative to continue. I try to get as many people as I possibly can to come here. I follow some of you all on social media as well, and I also see the efforts that you all are putting forth. And as a lifelong citizen of Erie, Pennsylvania, it is definitely appreciated, and I'm grateful for the efforts that you all are putting forward to at least try to kind of change the narrative and offer people a more comfortable setting to be able to voice and speak their opinion. So thank you all for your efforts and your initiative.
Thank you.
My name's Freda Tepfer, and I live in Erie. And this is Disability Awareness Month. And Stevie Wonder said, we need to make every single thing accessible to every single person with a disability. Every single thing, including everything that's posted on the webs, online, anything, city's website, everything. I have a lot of things I want to talk about, but there is a federal program called the Reconnecting Communities Pilot Grant Program. There's like $607 million for planning, construction, and technical assistance grants. The first round of applications is due September 30th. However, if the city is not ready to do a grant by then, there is the Reconnecting Communities Institute that has a series of webinars and assistance in developing a program. This is specifically a program to restore and reconnect communities that have been harmed, isolated, and cut off from opportunity by transportation infrastructure. In particular, I think restoration of safe, clean, unpolluted, unnoisy pedestrian access for the residents that used to have that from the East Street Viaduct could be a very good project for this grant funding source. It's still possible to restore some sort of pedestrian access. We're doing a big fancy loop-de-loop thing over the Bayfront Parkway on Holland Street. Let's do something for the people who are being forced to walk along the Bayfront connector and suffer water being sprayed on them, the pollution, the noise, all of that. On West 21st Street, where I live, there's only about 2.5 blocks between Green Garden and Pittsburgh that has no sidewalk. And many people walk on West 21st Street to get to Pittsburgh Avenue, to get to West Erie Plaza, to get to the buses. And it would sure be nice if we could have, there's no continuous sidewalk on the north side of the street. So if we could have that 3 blocks of additional sidewalk, and now while the Hampton Bar is closed, if we could get rid of the gravel berm that blocks where people could walk on that side, that would be nice. Also, the city parks represent, the city parks with no sidewalks on them, like Braybender in my neighborhood, represent the best opportunity for the city to put in sidewalks because you own the property adjacent to the park. And I urge the city to move forward to do something about that. I do want to mention that it's really nice that the Cockwood neighborhood, all those 200 people are getting a bridge, but that money that the MPO is giving to that project is being taken away from some other project that the MPO is funding. Just like so much money that the MPO had was diverted in order to pay for the Central Bayfront Park project and all of its overruns. You've heard me mention Baldwin Park and the pickleball players before. I would love to see the city paint a crosswalk on West 25th Street at Geist. You have painted a crosswalk on Green Garden at West 24th where there's no sidewalk. There's no sidewalk leading up to the corner, but they painted a crosswalk. So how about we could have a crosswalk painted so that the pickleball people stop blocking the pedestrian access to our park? The Greek festival got to use the city's bandstand. Anything that the city permits, any events at Perry Square or downtown, or times when they loan out the bandstand, they should have some kind of requirement that there be water bottle filling stations so that we don't have so much plastic water bottles, so that we can reduce the amount of single-use plastics. Celebrate Erie, the Rib Fest, all of the events. You should be working with the Downtown Partnership and the organizations that promote Celebrate Erie and these other activities, and the Water Authority, to have some kind of water bottle filling stations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Keys, Erie, PA. I'm happy to see the council here in the historic New Jerusalem. I was actually born pretty close to where this building stands. Couple things. I'd like to address some of the ARP and plans for the ARP money to be spent. We're like 3.5 years in, we're coming up against hard deadlines. And instead of us or the administration demanding that the people that we hire and work for us execute these programs and execute them within a timely fashion and execute them as they've been laid out by the government, we're gonna pull back and try and find a loophole so we are not responsible for those things. And one, I think it's distasteful. Two, I think that, we should always hold ourselves to the highest standard as possible. We understand sometimes things happen that make things impossible or a hardship. But in particular, I'd like to speak about the parks. 4 years in, when I was on council, we put $5 million in a bucket for the parks. No money has gone to the parks. They say they're doing another study and bringing in another consultant to tell the people what they want in their parks. We did a survey, now going on 3 years ago, where we asked the people what they want in their parks, and numerous people responded. I don't remember the exact number. That being said, this administration has to start prioritizing itself and its people. When I look and see a $13.5 million RACP for the ballpark, which I'm not against, but just as easily you could have put a RACP in to put the upgrades in at the Roger Young. At the time I sat on council and from the time I've been watching, very little, the city has vested very little and taken very little advantage of this program for anything for its people. I believe the last thing we did a RACP for as the city was that we were awarded were for new sidewalks that I believe we've now torn out and redone. That being said, I don't know when the plan is going to be formalized for the parks, but I would advise you to do the upgrades at the Roger Young. One, you have the money. Two, you always have the ability to attract more money and attract more grants. All you have to do is do that. I've spoken to all of our state reps, and our state reps said, we'd love to back this program, but the city hasn't put in any paperwork. And I don't know why we are giving away money, not just RACP money. There's been numerous grants for upgrading facilities across the community that we just have not participated in. And if we were serious about the 2020 plan, the Erie Refocus, making vibrant neighborhoods and making places for people to work and play, this would not be the case. And I think that it's a shame. I think that we need to prioritize our citizens. We need to do things that are going to benefit our citizens. And that would be a more effective government. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard tonight?
Hi, my name is Nick. My name is Cortez. How are y'all doing?
We're good. How are you guys tonight?
We fine. I just wanted to say how good y'all doing with all the stuff that y'all doing right now. I love being here. It's a good place for me, and it keeps me out of trouble and stuff. Yeah, everything you were saying too.
We can hardly hear you, sir. I'm sorry. We want to hear your messaging, so if you want to say it again, go for it.
The same thing you were saying.
You guys appreciate what we're doing in the city? Okay, good. Alrighty. Just to make a comment, I think I'm gonna have to have these young men come back and practice speaking at the podium again for future reference, but that's besides the point. You guys did good, but we can always practice and get better. And that's what you all have to know, is that with anything that you do, practice makes you better. So just keep that in mind.
Madam President,
Yeah.
one of the young men out there happens to be a student that I work with all year at Erie High School. And he asked me, Mr. Troop, I heard you know the mayor. I said, yeah. He said, so if the mayor could raise his hand, because he wanted to know who the mayor was. So that's to my right.
There in the corner.
He always asked me if I knew the mayor.
All right, perfect. It's always good to know who your elected officials are, because chances are on the local level you can bump into us at the grocery store, at a pharmacy, at a community event, or even at a baseball game, because we love the Seawolves. So you'd be surprised where you can bump into us. All righty. Mr. Crenshaw, are you here to be heard?
Yes, my name is Donald Crenshaw, and I live in Erie, and I'd like to thank council, the mayor, and everybody, as the young men that are behind me have represented themselves, as you stated, in a good manner here, but that's our future. And one of the things that I always have said, you can't be something you can't see. And as the young man, Paige, came up earlier, and he mentioned that he interns with us, I do have a passion and a desire to train that next generation. I was blessed with my son and 2 daughters that work in the industry in which I work in, housing, development, property management. And I felt that the good Lord laid on my heart not only to teach my immediate family, but this is my family as well. You're all my family. We all live in a community that if we can come together, and no matter what that task may be that we have to overcome, it's much easier if we're overcoming it together versus separate. So I'm a believer in actions speak louder than words. I'm not a 501c3. I am a for-profit business owner. But I do believe in order to be blessed, you have to be a blessing. And this next generation that's behind me, I try to walk the walk and talk the talk to be an inspiration to them, that they can be an asset to our community and not a liability. And the only way that they're going to understand that and see that is to be a part of it and see those that look like them. We're not all going to be NFL and NBA players. At 5'5", I couldn't really participate in either one, but I do thank the good Lord that I've been successful enough to be an asset to my community. We are building, we are doing. Mayor, we thank you for your help, especially today. There are positive things going forward, and with the challenges that are out there in the world, I just ask council, I ask everybody in the room to come together and let's make a positive difference. We may not always agree on everything. That's a fact. We all look a little different. But let's not be disagreeable just for the sake of being disagreeable. Let's not be an R and a D and say that if you're one of those, you can't come together. Problem with our country today is there's too much division. So let us start right here in Erie and coming together, showing the next generation how those of us that are empowered today can come together for the good of our community. I thank each and every one of you. I thank the mayor. And I thank you all for being able to come together as you do here. And let's make a positive impact in our community so that what we leave behind will be better than what we found it. Thank you.
Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard tonight? Do we have any other citizens who would like to be heard tonight? Do we have any citizens who would like to be heard tonight? I'm hearing and seeing none. We will move on. Thank you, everyone who spoke tonight.
Ordinances for final passage. Council file number 16449, official ordinance 37, 2024, an ordinance amending Article 381 by extending the final date under the Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance Act, which is LRTA, ordinance to apply for property taxation relief. LRTA is one of the methods used to promote past and present economic development with the city of Erie, and this amendment will encourage continuous economic development into the future. Sponsored by Councilmember Shaw, seconded by Councilmember Nelson, the Council File Ordinance Bill number 16449, and now known as Official File Ordinance 37, 2024, be finally passed by City Council.
Discussion.
Quick discussion. Hey, kids, thank you.
Thank you, thank
See
you.
you again.
See you next time.
Hey, I just want to note something before we pass this, is that there was a press conference this week about CRIZ, and I think one of the big things that we see with LRTA that comes back is that we get revenue from a number of different sources other than property taxes when we see this LRTA development. With the potential of maybe getting CRIZ in the next couple years, we would be losing through a value capture the very things that we still get with LRTA. If we have both tools and they are overlapping, I do think we may need to readdress this to some extent. Right now, if a building uses LRTA to abate taxes and develop and brings jobs, we get income tax. If they use CRIZ, we don't get income tax, but we would get property tax. But with both of them, we will get no tax revenue with some of this development. I think it's going to be important that we do need more revenue sooner rather than later. And I do have some cautions with that, and I just offer that now before we run into this in 2 years or whenever it becomes an issue. I also want to say that doing this citywide, I still have concerns about that. Using one tool for so many different needs in our economy and in our city, I think could be done better. There's certain areas where the market itself supports development. Not many, but it's getting there. And there's other areas, Allegheny County, for example, they still use, for their economic development side, 4 times as much economic development through TIF than they do LRTA. It takes a little more to administer that, but there's places where brownfield development, I think, would be much more impactful with other tools. But as it is the tool that's available to us today, we'll vote today on this one.
until
Any other
we add more
discussion?
to our tool chest.
Madam President?
Yes, go ahead.
Just quickly, again, leaning into, I know I've said this in caucus and I've said it at other times too, that the success of Alerta really does depend on the implementation and the implementation that is working in tangent with the three other, with all three legislating bodies, including the enforcement, the assessment office. So that this, as we navigate through this, it's not just going to come down to any one body, that it really is all of us, and that we stay on top of what some of the other legislating bodies may be looking for so that we can ensure the implementation is done correctly, that we make sure that our permits, any issued permits that are coming under Alerta, are getting over to the county office in a quick fashion, and that we're staying on top of any of the assessments that are happening so that because the city, the Erie City School District is still collecting a part of the taxes on this. And so when these assessments fall behind or when they're under assessed, our public school system is harmed. And so I think we just, as a community of electeds who are trying to row the boat in the same direction, we need to make sure that we're also keeping an eye on that as we move this Alerta forward.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Voting on the ordinance, council members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. City Council passed official file ordinance 37, 2024, finally by yea 7, nay 0. Council file number 16450, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $158,893 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue and providing for the expenditure thereof. This is for the 2024 Auto Theft Prevention Authority. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Councilmember Schaaf. The Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16450, and now known as Official File Ordinance 38, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council passed Official File Ordinance 38, 2024, finally by yea 7, nay 0. Council File Number 16451, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $371,700 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof. This is a contribution from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania acting through the Department of Community and Economic Development for the Police K-9 Unit. Sponsored by Councilmember Witherspoon, seconded by Member Schaaf. That Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16451, and now known as Official File Ordinance 39, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Mr. Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council passed Official File Ordinance 39, 2024, finally by yea 7, nay 0. Council File Number 16452, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $375,571 from unappropriated and anticipated revenue to provide for the expenditure thereof for the Cockle Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project, bid number 1819-24. Sponsored by Councilmember Troop, seconded by Councilmember Witherspoon, the Council File Ordinance Bill Number 16452, and now known as Official File Ordinance 40, 2024, be finally passed by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson.
Discussion.
Go ahead.
I would just like to make a comment. This came from a wealthy section of town, but it came from a citizen who wanted something for their area, and they talked. So they came to us, and they did the job. They brought the money, and the bridge is going to be built. We can thank Mr. Richards. He doesn't need that. But we're listening to you folks, too. I was brought up in 4th and Wallace, so I know 700 block of East 5th very well. And I know where Roger Young is, too. We need people to come and talk to us. I stopped at Nickel Plate the other day. Great store. And we started talking. Of course, I'm the bike path guy. So the guy says to me, no use for me talking. I'm on the east side here. Nobody asked me about the bike path. And I said, well, that's the problem. be involved. If you let us know what's going on, sometimes you have to be the squeaky wheel. And that's what I'm saying. This came together beautifully because people wanted it to come together. And I applaud all those people who were involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I hear none. Go ahead, Lori.
Voting on the ordinance, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus,
No.
Troop. Titus, no?
Yep.
Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council pass official file ordinance 40, 2024, finally by yeas 6, nays 1. Okay, ordinances for first reading. Council file number 16453, an ordinance appropriating the sum of $13,500,000 from unappropriated and unanticipated revenue for the expenditure thereof for the UPMC Park upgrades and clubhouse to be completed via a cooperation agreement with the Erie County Convention Center Authority, acting as a sub-grantee. Pass-through funding is provided from the Pennsylvania Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program, RACP grant. Sponsored by Councilmember Schaaf, seconded by Councilmember Nelson, that Council File Ordinance number 16453, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council pass official file or City Council pass and adopt Council File Ordinance 16453 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Council File number 16454, an ordinance amending Article 309 to increase the fee for a license under the ordinance and/or to increase the penalties for a violation of this ordinance. These amendments will provide enhanced compliance of mechanical amusement devices with the city and/or will provide further protection to citizens and/or the community. Sponsored by Mr. Troop, seconded by Councilmember Titus, that Council File Ordinance number 16454, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council.
Discussion. Wait, who did you say were the sponsors on that?
Troop and Titus.
That was me and you. That's the low.
I mean, I'll take credit for it.
Jeez. Hey, I specifically want to talk about this because of the folks that talked about the lounge there. You know, when you walk into that lounge, I don't know the floor plan of every bar in town, but when you walk into that lounge, you know, the bar is up there on the left, they got a couple TVs, and then they got that like divider with some, you know, like a pool table, a couple skill games, and then, you know, ATM over here and another skill game next to it. Like that's what they have over there on the right, unless they've changed since Lawrence left. This ordinance that we're updating is from back in the 60s. And what happened was a bunch of people back in the 60s were worried about all those people causing trouble with their pool halls and pinball machines. So they put out an ordinance to regulate that a little bit, to get a registration for it and to have some accountability in those establishments. This particular ordinance, it's as much as we can do, but the Harrisburg had looked into regulating the skill games. And they failed to come to a conclusion on that. They viewed it as potentially $150 million into our state budget that would have offset our taxes, but they couldn't come together on a conclusion on it. There's currently some stuff going on in the court system to try to regulate these a little bit as well. They also can't figure it out. So we're stuck with these skill games. They're social blight. They're casinos in every residential neighborhood, but particularly preying on the most impoverished in those residential neighborhoods. And I'm happy to tell you that Erie City Council can't fix it, so don't hold us responsible for it. However, we can do some incremental progress on this. So this is an update on that 1960s legislation, so that we would register them at a fee that reflects $2,024. Not the number, but the year. It's not that expensive a fee, I promise. It has to be revenue neutral for the services that we're providing, and it escalates the penalties much more aggressively, so that if they don't register them, we can address it through some penalties, and short of a misdemeanor, we're not allowed to go that far. We see these places where there are many little casinos, and they got kids sitting on the laps of mothers, throwing dollars into stores. We got fresh food markets that have been displaced so that people could put casinos in some of the most impoverished neighborhoods. And we can't fix it, but we can be pricks about it a little bit and prod them along a little bit. And that's the intent of this rule. If I put it in if I put it in probably a little too common of terms as to what my intent is with it. So that's if you're reading the ordinances, you probably have no idea what we're trying to do there, and hopefully that makes it clear to you.
Any other discussion?
I hear none. Go ahead, Lori.
Council File Number 16454, having been read, is hereby adopted on first reading by City Council. Members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. City Council read and adopt Council File Ordinance 16454 by yeas 7, nays 0 on first reading. Madam President, this takes us to new business. Oh, wait, we gotta do old business.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Because we had tabled these.
3 things.
Okay.
Motion to move the balance.
Hold on, we're handling.
Can we
We
do-
gotta hear
can we
the
do both?
old business.
We can't do them all together?
We have to do old business. Because this was tabled. Okay, a resolution sponsored by Councilmember Brzezinski, seconded by Member Witherspoon, that the proper city officials are hereby authorized and directed to execute an engineering agreement between the City of Erie and Shivers Construction for the Colqua Bridge Replacement Project bid 1819-24 in the sum of $2,424,992.30. This was tabled from the June 5th, 2024 City Council meeting. Discussion?
The important thing here is that we were able to extend the timing on the contract and not have to get extra money thrown on it because of the time. And once again, because everybody worked together on it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus,
No.
Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Resolution passes, yeas 6, nays 1. Okay. Another sponsored by Councilmember Brzezinski, seconded by Councilmember Witherspoon. The proper city officials are hereby authorized and directed to execute an engineering agreement between the City of Erie and Trans Systems Corporation, doing business as Trans System Corporation Consultants in Pittsburgh. It's for the construction and consultation services from the Colqua Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project in the amount of $25,272. Discussion? Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Resolution passes, yeas 7, nays 0. Again, sponsored by Councilmember Brzezinski, seconded by Councilmember Witherspoon. The proper city officials be hereby authorized and directed to execute an engineering agreement between the City of Erie and Urban Engineers on West 12th Street of Erie for the construction inspection services for the Colqua Boulevard Bridge Replacement Project in the amount of $120,000. Any discussion? Voting on the resolution, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Schaaf, Titus, Troop, Witherspoon, Flores. Resolution passes, yeas 7, nays 0. This takes us to new business.
Motion to move the balance.
Second.
Third.
Any separations?
Any separations among council? I'm hearing none, Lori.
Voting on the balance of the
Mel, do you
resolution.
want number 3?
Hold on, Lori.
Oh, the Larry Meredith side.
Yeah.
That's the
He doesn't want to.
Look. So the committee reports.
Oh, okay.
No
We're done.
separation?
No separation.
No, they're gonna wait till the end.
Okay, voting on the balance of the resolution, members Brzezinski, Nelson, Shaw, Titus Troop, Witherspoon, and Flores. Council moves the balance of the agenda by 7-0. So this takes us to committee reports.
Alrighty, Mr. Brzezinski, would you like to go first and we'll work our way down to give?
Okay, my dear, I can do that, I guess. Yeah, a lot of things happening. I've been gone for a while. I missed you all. But sometimes anniversaries take precedence over everything else. So we took a trip. Anyway, that being said, the Port Authority is moving forward in all areas. The coal plant being right up at the top. Lighting down at the foot of Dobbins Landing, going toward Rum Runners. They're working on that too. Folks were a little bit worried that it was kind of dark there. And they brought up the point that there was a young couple with their kids fishing like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And they weren't afraid to be down there. So that's a real positive to see family things going on down there too. And even, enough said about the Civic Center and Seawolves. The money's coming. It's always been good. You know, the better the facility, the better for everybody else. You know, the Seawolves were the Seawolves. The Seawolves are now the champions. And because they are the champions, people come from, I call them up-airs. You meet the up-airs from Pittsburgh, they come up here for the weekend. But they're up-airs. And they come up here. They come up here to see our stadium, our Seawolves, and it's just starting. It's going to get better and better, and I'm done. Thank you. You're next.
Thank you, Madam President, and Mr.
You can have like 5
Brzezinski.
minutes.
This weekend on Saturday is a community event called Amira Masala, and there's a parade at noon. The event starts at 11 a.m. at Perry Square, and it lasts till around dinner time. I think it might be 6 o'clock. And Amira Masala is a come-together movement of fun, entertainment, and just be yourself. And it's a wonderful, peace-filled event. I have been attending it for some years now and always enjoy the music, the community, and the parades. Sunday, there's Tunes for Tots at Sloppy Duck from 1 o'clock till 8 o'clock p.m. And I too participate this year with that. My grandson is coming up. He's a Marine in Florida, and I had asked him if he was able to, if he could come up, and he's going to surprise me. And I mean, it's not a surprise because I know he's coming, but it's a Toys for Tots fundraiser. It's only $5, but it's called Tunes for Tots because 1 through 8, there's music. And I have attended many fun things that involve music. Last night was the Liberty Park 8 Great Tuesdays. The Clarks played. Sunday, with the 814 series, the Riff Riders played at Wayne Park that I attended. Tennessee Back Porch played on Monday at Perry Square through the music series on Monday nights. Today, at the Erie Midday Art Break at the Erie Art Museum, Jess Royer was playing there at lunchtime. For me and my husband, we love various different types of music, and that is one way that we're able to just be at peace, and music just is a great way to relax and lower your blood pressure if you enjoy it. I attended the Booker T. Washington Neighborhood Watch this past week and heard the concerns of the Central City neighborhood there. I attended Second Baptist Church, the Pennsylvania Human Relations Committee for Pennsylvania. Chad Lassiter came and talked about beloved community and how the HRC is working in Pennsylvania. Hopefully, it'll be reignited in Erie, Pennsylvania. Hopefully, the Erie County will re-energize our human relations committee. I was involved with that in years past, and very needed to fight personal injustices in many different areas. I attended the grand opening of the Experience Children's Museum. We now have a first-class place, second to none in our nation, I would really say, for children. So you can spend a lot of time there with many different hands-on experiences. I was totally blown away by this because I had taken people there in the past, and it was always very nice. But the remodel and the expansion is, I just don't have words for it. It's absolutely wonderful. Yesterday, I spent my day with the Federal Resources Corporation Summit held at the Bayfront Convention Center. Jeremy Young and Doug Campbell are investing in Erie, Pennsylvania. They want their employees to be in Pennsylvania. I think this is a great place, business, with cybersecurity for our federal government and for other companies as well. But their commitment to Erie is really a great thing. So I always like to learn different things and learn about different companies in Erie. So I thank them for the invitation, and they're here for 3 days with people from out of town coming in. So I thought that was pretty great. I attended the Land Bank meeting. Thank you, Aaron Snippert, for all you do, since you're right here in the audience. And it's good to see that there are people willing to purchase a plot and, do something better with it. And we need more people to step up, just like that woman today. That is like so awesome and amazing. I hope that all goes well with her and she can carry that through. I listened to the blighted property review, and it was good to see another place that was able to come alive and be good again. So that's great. Thank you to people who invest in their community. Thank you for everyone who came today. And like Bob, I was at the park when they announced your name, and others who, opened the door of your house and you were able to help because they can't do it by themselves. So we need more people like yourself to re-energize and be a part of our community. So thank you very much, and the Love Your Block team for that wonderful cleanup. Absolutely great. So I think that's it. But just wanted to say that if you do want to feel the love, go to Amira Masala on Saturday at Perry Square. Thanks.
Thank you.
I feel like when you do that, I should just raise my hand to the events that I went to with you, and then that would just make things more efficient for me. I went to half of those events with her, the ones that were public. As far as authorities I'm liaison to, the only one that I would say had something notable happen, the mayor had his press conference with Senator Laughlin and our state representatives on Monday for CRIS, an event you were at but didn't mention.
I can't,
It's raining.
The last budget at Harrisburg did include the opening for 2 cities to get a CRIS. CRIS is a financing tool where a tax increment, the growth of a tax area, is used to finance development, particularly of brownfield and infrastructure. One of the most exciting things about how it was budgeted is that it was budgeted at $15 million. When we were having this discussion a year ago, there was a lot of discussion as to what it would be capped at, and a lot of that discussion was centering around the number 10 million. So 15 million's quite a bit more exciting, at least 50% more exciting. It's an open application. It should be competitive. It's available to third-class cities that are not in Act 47 distressment. The mayor of Reading was speaking in the Capitol and did a presentation there during the budget session. So there's definitely gonna be some competition and some good applications for only having 2 openings. I'm a little intimidated by them, I'll be frank about. And then the other thing is that last time the CRIS applications were open, Reading, Altoona, and Harrisburg were all Act 47, so they weren't eligible to apply last time. So even though Lancaster and Bethlehem already have it, it will be more competitive this time around. So I'm still very optimistic, and it sounds like it may be something in the budget again next year as well. So, but there was a press conference, and now the CRIS board, which hasn't been meeting for many months now, we'll be back to actively coming together for an application, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Thank you. Councilmember Troop.
Madam President, thank you. So since Kathy was mentioning Amira Masala, I'm going to add something onto that. Got to give Lynn Johnson credit. He's the organizer of that. He's been doing that. He's been working on that for years. I remember Lynn talking about that a long time. And it's good to see that it's coming together for him and all the staff that he has put together. I also attended a couple Thursday night concerts, so I've gotten some of that good music that Kathy's talking about. I also attended the Spoons League opening. I got to see the man, the myth, the legend in action himself, Councilman Witherspoon. That was great to see. Also talked to the people from the downtown partnership. They want the community to know that they'll be having an engagement day coming up here in a couple weeks, where they talk about, the community will get to talk about, give feedback about some of the public spaces that I know some people mentioned today. So they're going to be looking for engagement. I believe that's going to happen at the Blasco Library. They want people to know that tomorrow they're going to have a polka concert in the Perry Square, which is one of their biggest concerts. And every Wednesday, if you want to get a little exercise, you can go down and get some yoga in the park. In Dobbins Landing, excuse me. And then I did want to talk about number 3 that's on the agenda today under new business. Larry Meredith, he is my uncle. It's my mom's brother. So that is a special thing to us. my aunt Anita and a team of people. They've been working on some things for Larry. There's going to be something on August 5th at the JFK Center. Some of it's going to be in Perry Square. It's going to be like a whole day. I believe that August 5th was designated Larry Meredith Day in Erie sometime last year. August 2nd, there's also going to be an event at the Sheraton put on by the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and they're going to honor Larry at that event. So once again, there's something happening at the JFK on August 5th and at the Sheraton Hotel on August 2nd. As you know, Larry was the first African-American on city council in Erie. So I've been hearing about that my whole life. I didn't really know how much Larry did until he passed away. He never talked about what he did, all the stuff he actually did. I have a relative that asked, why did Larry ever come back to Erie? Because, you know, Larry almost like got a perfect score on the bar exam. And he went to Howard University, and a lot of his buddies that are lawyers, attorneys, are big-time lawyers. And I remember asking him about some of the salaries that I saw, and he said, yeah, that's what those guys make. And one of my relatives would ask me, like, why would Larry come back to Erie and work for the salaries he was getting? Could have been like his buddies making all this money. And I think Larry's a true example of he chose service over money. He chose people over money. So that I think that's, you know, the city doing the street for Larry. He helped a lot of people just for free a lot of times. People who couldn't help themselves. So just thankful for the city and for Mr. Witherspoon for sponsoring that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my turn.
Councilmember Tyler Titus.
Thank you. The parking authority is, I just run down my list of where I'm serving liaison. They moved their meeting, so they're going to be meeting, excuse me, on July 30th. They're currently in the process of doing their structural audit. And so I'm going to look forward to getting that information, kind of seeing any findings and any action steps. But I'm very confident in Mr. Friday's vision for the city. He really is quite invested in moving us forward. He's a forward thinker. The EMTA next board meeting is July 22nd. It's open to the public. You can sign up via Zoom. You do need to email, and you can get that on their website so that you can sign up and register for that. The Human Relations Commission was meeting while we were meeting tonight. I know Kathy spoke briefly on this. There's a ton of reorganization that is happening there. I serve as their liaison, so I'll have more to report out next at our next city council meeting as to what was kind of decided and moved through tonight. On Tuesday, there was a lot of things happening, but the one that I went to and attended was at the Erie Zoo. They had their ribbon cutting ceremony for their otters exhibit. It was wet, but it was very eye-opening to see the amount of legislators who came together to really support this initiative and this investment. This might seem like a silly announcement to make from City Council, but we're heading into fair season, and at fair season we see a lot of goldfish won. And what we don't talk about is that a lot of parents actually don't want to keep those goldfish, and so they throw them into Lake Erie, which they become an invasive species, and that is a huge problem. The Erie Zoo has started a program that's called the Last Chance Lagoon. So if any parents or your children win these goldfish and you no longer want to take care of them because they're obnoxious to take care of, to give them a call, because they are destroying parts of our lake, and so for us to be at the forefront of that. I also will be reaching out to all the legislative bodies to try to pull together a volunteer opportunity over at the zoo. They are a lead asset, and I just want us to see what they're doing and the economic impact they're bringing in. They have over 250 jobs that they have there, or that they bring into that space, and so for us to just get involved and see what they're doing for the city. I do want to talk very quickly about what I did on Saturday. Saturday, I went down to Sharon, Pennsylvania, to attend a vigil for Polly Likens. Polly Likens was a 14-year-old child who was brutally murdered simply for living as her true self, just because she happened to be transgender. The biggest takeaway from this is that when people, especially our youth, do not have safe, supportive, and accessible places to community, they will risk their own well-being to find it. So I'm calling upon all of us who who hold the power, who are in legislative seats, myself and colleagues included, that we continue to invest in spaces for our youth and our young adults. And we have to ensure that these spaces are inclusive and affirming, and that we provide the community connection so it is not sought elsewhere. And then this is the first time, that I think that there was a couple other meetings. I was gonna say that there's been a public meeting here since what else happened on Saturday. And I think I would be naive and remiss to not acknowledge the violence and the tension that we're feeling. And that as we head closer into November, that the fears and the violence is going to escalate. And that we as a city, I saw the police chief, they're already talking about it. I commend the city for doing that, and that we work together to really address this. Because at the end of it, when we're looking about this, people are tired, people are scared. This is being fed into. And we've got to be at the forefront, and we can't pretend that it's not happening. The strongest way and the direct action we can take against violence, though, is voting and making sure we know our candidates, making sure we know who's representing us, because violence is happened through, poverty is violence, hunger is violence, lack of housing is violence, racism is violence, disinvestment is violence, sexism is violence, ableism is violence. And we need to make sure that when we're having local all the way up to state and federal officials who are representing us, that they're including all of us, so that we don't see the distress and the polarization that we're seeing. And I know that's a little soapboxy, but it's very, very important that we don't become apathetic during this time, and that we remember that we have a very, very important election coming up this November.
Thank you. Councilmember Witherspoon?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to report that the police chief reported that the crime rate in our city compared to last year has decreased in just about every area. And all of council received that report, and we compliment the chief on his leadership as well. I also want to say that Attorney Larry Meredith was a dear friend. Even maybe 2 weeks ago, sister says to me, you look just like my brother. I said, did he owe you any money? She said, yeah. I said, I don't look like him then. But Larry swore me in every time, except this last time, into council. And it's because of him I started when he finished. So he's done so many great things. And I also ask him, how come you're not rich like all the other lawyers? He says, the people I'm trying to help don't have the money. And if folks would repay his family, they would be in good shape today, financially. On another note, Spoon Summer Basketball League kicked off last week. We're in our second week. We're moving along very good. We have registered 206 young men and women as co-ed. And I had to send out a very strong memo to the coaches who had the ladies on their team. And for some reason, they were not giving them enough playing time. So I instructed them that all ladies will be on the starting five, and they will play a full quarter throughout the game. Of course, they didn't like it, but that's too bad because I run that show. Sadly, though, we only had 7 registered for the Bayfront League. And so we transferred that 7 up to 19th Street. When we had our caucus, I heard a basketball bouncing, so I went into the gym, and the recreation director said, I have 27 kids for you. So we're going to reopen registration just for Bayfront, and probably in the next week and a half, we'll have some action down on the Bayfront with these young men and ladies. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. I'm happy that you made sure that the inclusion of the female athletes was very strong because everyone deserves to play regardless of anything. So I approve of that and happy that you are the boss in that situation. So my committee report consists of my happiness with the success that the current summer concert series, the 814 concert series, has been having the last couple of Sundays. Based off of the pictures and images that I've seen, I haven't made it to one yet, but I do plan on going soon, has been full crowds, and based off of the the gentleman's feedback, he was very happy with the one that was held last Sunday at Wayne Primary, the old East Park, or was it always Wayne Park? I think it was always Wayne Park. Yeah, the old Wayne Primary Park is what it is now. So I also want to give approval of the 8 Great Tuesdays. I know last night's event was a lot more of a process due to the increased security, and any lines that were given were just so that everyone can be safe. We here in our community want to make sure that everyone can be safe in all areas of our community, and we do like to enjoy our summer spaces, and the parks are a big asset for us. So our community does like to come in large crowds and spend the day enjoying whatever festivities we're having at that moment. So I don't expect the lines to go down for 8 Great Tuesdays, but I do expect them to get a little bit more organized in their process. So we'll look forward to that. I want to also comment that on Monday night, Wonka played in Perry Square, and there was a great turnout as well for our community to participate in. So thank you to the Erie Downtown Partnership, because that is definitely something our community has been looking forward to, and we hope that continues to go forward. City Council had study sessions on Tuesday, the last 2 Tuesdays in a row. The first one was on ECAT and Wayne Primary and their data that they've been able to collect and everything they plan on doing in their neighborhoods to help impact the lives of the community members that are there. So it's always great when the community is coming together, working together, advocating for the things that they want to see improve in their communities. So we will hope to continue to get information on that. The study session that we had last night was about ARP and the deadline that we are no longer going to be having to deal with, because we are going to do revenue replacement, which is something that we were advised to do a few years ago. We were just waiting for the experts to for sure give us enough supporting information that that was the correct move. And now with enough of the seminars that our financial department and our ARP people have been participating in, they are confident in us doing the revenue replacement. That way we no longer have to have the deadlines. We won't lose the money. The money will stay in the buckets that they're already allocated for. The funds that were already put in each bucket for each specific thing will stay as is. It just won't have the deadline. So that's great. I wanted to comment on the Parks and Recreation plan. I know that this is something that I have been bringing up many times over the last 3 years that I've been on council, and it's something that I continue to bring up when I'm setting my agenda meetings, because parks are what our community can directly access. Parks are something that all communities can actually benefit from. I know that when I first became a council member, I went to a municipal training that said that third-class cities can access as much grant money as possible for parks and recreation. The only problem with grant money is that you can't get any grant money if you don't have a plan. So I'm hoping that this plan will give us all of the ammo we need to continue on and get more grant money. I know that Roger Young is something very special to a lot of us. It's something that I have been asking about since I came on council, and I know that the upgrades and the needs that that park has, we cannot afford. But with the money that we do have in our ARP bucket for Parks and Recreation, we can leverage more. So my hope is that we will be leveraging a whole lot of money for our park and recreation, because our grant department knows how much we care on council about parks and recreation. So, with that being said, I also wanted to comment on the youth coming and speaking before our elected officials. They have left, but I am very hopeful and happy to see that young people are feeling confident in their voice to come here and speak to us. You are our future. We will not know what you need to sustain yourself here unless you come and tell us. You get to see what your neighborhoods look like every day. We get to drive through your neighborhoods. So for me, I love seeing that. I love seeing that we have more people becoming vocal and the things that they want to see in their community, because here in Erie, we are a great community. We do great things. And if we all work together to uplift all community members, we can get what we need to be a sustainable and equitable community and advance us into the future generations. And I want to say, please, thank you very much to MLK for allowing us to hold our second summer tour council meeting here in their beautiful remodeled community area. And I want to thank the director, James Sherrod, for his accommodating us and providing drinks and refreshments to our community. That is always appreciated. And thank you to the community for coming out, and Cam for working with us. We are very thankful that this is able to be something that we can move forward and maybe continue in future years for our community to be able to feel welcomed and included and safe in their community spaces. So thank you. I will yield my time to the solicitors if they have anything to report.
No report.
Alrighty, the mayor, do you have anything to report to us tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to be very brief because I know it's getting late.
Yes,
Just
it
two
is.
things I want to talk about. First, thank you for your support of the Cockle Bridge replacement project. Really appreciate that. I know we need one more vote on it yet, but appreciate that. And Chuck Nelson had talked a little bit about CRIZ, and I'm very much behind that as well. We've got a lot of work to do right now because we have to submit an application. And the city did submit an application about 12 years ago for one, but was denied because the application wasn't good. So we want to do a good application this time and get on that. It'll allow us to prepare 130 acres spread out all over the city. And we've got a pretty good idea. We haven't finalized everything yet, but we got a pretty good idea of the areas that we can promote to have businesses come in and start new businesses or move businesses to Erie and that sort of thing. So we're very, very excited. And as Chuck said, I'm very happy too. They went up to the 15 million that we can get a year based on production that's done. One last thing about that is that Erie Insurance is very much behind this. And we believe the first time we submit an application for reimbursement, and all that money goes back into the 130 acres where businesses are developing. But with what Erie Insurance is planning to do, we'll probably get at least $10 million in the first time we get a payout. And that'll really help us continue to develop. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a good evening. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, everyone, and that adjourns our meeting.
City Council adjourns at 8:28 p.m.